Welcome to this episode of the Gunman. In this video here, I'll be taking you guys through the masking and paintwork on this 2014 Maserati Ghibli. So this is the second part of what will probably be a three-part series. I'll probably make another video after this on the polishing stage. Those who have watched the first video will remember all the prep work I've done. I've then taken it into the spray booth, and about the only thing that I've skipped out was I wiped it down with wax and grease remover prior to masking it up here. So there was a scratch in the fender, we feathered it out, primed it up, sanded it back, and then that was all prepped up, put it in the booth, wiped it down with Prepsol, and now we're up to the masking stage. So I've decided to just, while we're doing the masking here, this is basically unedited the entire mask, so it's at 1.5 times video speed just to get through the vid a little bit quicker, but you can still see exactly how I mask a guard out, because I have had a few questions on how do you mask these kind of edges out and stuff like that. So what you can see I'm doing there is between those that gap, that door and the fender gap, there's actually a little bit of a rubber there. So you've actually got to sort of, you see how I'm sliding that tape up underneath the fender, so I'm not going to get any overspray. And even if there was no rubber there, I'd still mask it up the same. So you want sort of half of that piece of, it's 36mm tape, you want sort of half of that sort of on your door, and you want half of it up underneath the back edge of that fender. Obviously when you're doing these under these guard lips, there's usually always going to be some dirt or some grease or something like that, so you usually need to get a thinner's rag, or even sometimes just a wet rag if there's heaps of mud there. Wet rag first, and then maybe a Prepsol or a wax and grease or thinner's rag just to clean the rest of any oil based or solvent based contaminants that may be under there before you mask it. And then as you can see around this headlight, we've just released that headlight a little bit, and we've also released the bumper bar. I would have liked to have had that headlight taken right out, but supposedly it wasn't an easy job, and yeah, they didn't want to do it because you'd have to pull the whole bumper off, they said, so decided not to. There must have been a little bit of fluff or something inside there. That's why I'm just getting that air blower there and cleaning it back out. As I said, this is unedited. The masking on this stage is unedited, so everything I do you get to see. I'll also take you guys through the mixing up of the clear coat and the base and everything else on the entire job, and we'll also have a good look at it once it's all finished and it's outside. I do have another channel, which just a bit of fun more than anything. I just decided to make this channel because a couple of guys wanted to see, some of these Australian cars, and I know this is not an Australian car. I called the channel Australian Car Show, so if you like, you can check in the description of this video, have a look through there. I'll put a link in there to my other channel. Hit the sub button if you want. If you don't, it doesn't really matter. I don't really care. But I did make another video on this car, just a good walk around it, have a look at the interior, and I read out some information about the car that I found online there. So it's a very nice car. So as you see, I've just had that bonnet, or the hood as the Americans would say. We call it a bonnet over here in Australia. I've had that open and just peeled that back just off the edge, so I'm not going to get a lip on that lip. I'm not going to get a paint edge on there. Peeled it just back off the edge so that my paint will just be able to blow in there and I won't have any big edges. And same around here, just make sure that it's up underneath it. You just have to be careful when you're unmasking. I didn't include the unmasking stage. I usually don't. It's probably just something I see as being a little bit boring. If you guys would like to see me unmasking a car, let me know. Shoot it in the comments. This is a community, and I'm not the be-all and all of spray painting. This is just a community channel that we can all join in the conversation, and I enjoy making these videos, and I hope you guys enjoy watching them. I know I've got a very loyal fan base. I haven't been doing this for very long. It's still in my first year, and I've got around 5,000 subscribers, so it's been quite successful. And I'd like to just say a quick thanks to everyone for supporting me. and watching and liking and commenting and sharing. It's been a good ride, and I think the future's got some much more cool stuff to come on this channel. So obviously, just in those vents there, we don't want any sort of dust blowing out, and we also don't want any paint all over the plastic parts that's inside there. It's just a bit of an eyesore if you know, they get pulled, if the vents get pulled out again, or you might see through a bit of those vents. So just going around finishing off all my masking, and next up we'll get the masking film, the plastic masking film, pull it over the entire car. You've got to make sure you get this stuff up the right way. If you have it upside down, you will actually have the paint flake off on you when you're halfway through painting. I had a guy mask a car up for me once, and I didn't realise that he'd put the plastic upside down. Something I always look at to make sure it's up the right way, but because he masked the car for me, I had to go at the back and polish the car, and he goes, "Oh yeah, I'll just help you mask up." I said, "Yeah, no worries, man, thanks." And yeah, I come back in, started painting away, and yeah, sure enough, when I'm putting my clear on, all the base coat flaked off and landed all through the bonnet, because it was a big job. I was doing the roof and doing blends on the guards and doors, and did the bonnet as well, so it just made a total mess. I had to redo the entire job. So anyway, make sure you always get that stuff up the right way. And yeah, so if you're going to be using infrared lights to do any of your baking, just make sure you don't. Some spray booths do have infrared curing lights. I've never worked in one, but obviously it's something that you might have to talk to the guys at your work about. Just if they've used infrared lights in the booth before, then they'll probably steer you away from doing this kind of masking. But for me, in just a conventional booth, it's much quicker than using paper and stuff like that. So just something I'd like to make a quick mention of while you just watch me finishing the masking is just comments. Like, I really do like comments, but a lot of these guys, they ask me all these private messages on Facebook and stuff like that. I believe that this is a community, and we all have to share. It's not all about me, basically. If you got questions, put them in a comment. Everyone can benefit from that question, rather than if you put it in a private comment, you're the only one that's ever going to be able to read that, and me. And the reason I'm doing these videos is to get my skills and share my skills with the world. So my knowledge is also in the trade. So if you've got a question on a gun, a question on air pressure settings, a question on how to mask, no matter what it is, I would really prefer it in a public comment, to be honest. So obviously certain stuff, if you want to grab a Gunman shirt off me, which I've got, yeah, by all means send me a private message or make a comment, and then we can start a private chat, because we don't need the entire world to know your address and my bank account details, do you? So yeah, obviously there is a reason that I do have active messages, that you can send me messages, but yeah, it's not for the purpose of just asking me questions. That's what the comments are for. Okay, so sort of quickly touch on that just while you finish watching the masking. So the masking is just about done. Obviously you can see I'm very careful to a bit of overlap there. You're better off using large pieces of masking tape. So you see I did that, basically that whole wheel frame with one piece, because the more pieces there's the more chances that there's a gap between them and a place where a little bit of overspray can come through. So obviously we don't want that. If you do get a little bit of overspray, if you get to it soon enough, you can say maybe just get a bit of thinners if you're careful, depending on what it's on. If it's on plastic, you wouldn't want to do that. But there's also these clay blocks that you can rub over the car with a bit of car wash, and they clean over as well too. So there's stuff on the market that you can use. Anyway, so my base coat colours just mixed up already, because I'd already mixed that up to do my spray out when I sprayed the colour out, which I included in the last episode. And you can see here I'm using the Standox Crystal Clear. It's used at a 3:1 ratio with the 2K hardener. I'm using the fast hardener here, so I prefer to use fast hardener most of the time, unless it's sort of above 30 degrees. I'll sort of like to use fast hardener. As you see there, I'm just bit of stuff on top of it. I just cleaned off. Important you keep your paint clean. If stuff goes in your paint, try and filter it out. I always filter my paint pretty much every single stage. Also run gun filters in my guns too, so it's another last line of defense, I guess, for little bits of dust that could be coming through your gun. Make sure you give it a very nice stir up. So I'll be using the GTI Pro Lite with the TE20 air cap on it for this job. Be using the T2 on the GTI Pro for Basecoat, and I'll be using the T2 also on the GTI Pro for my blending clear, or wet bed, whatever you want to call it. There's been a little bit of confusion around what this actually is that I just put in the gun there. It's in solvent base. The Standox line I'm using, the number of it is 599, and it's called Stabilizer, just Basecoat Stabilizer. So it's you'll see me using it. It's basically it makes it so that the metallic doesn't sit in the sanding scratches. So when you're doing your final blend coat, you'll see me put that down first, and then it'll allow that final coat of metallic to land in that wet bed instead of into the sanding scratches that you've created, obviously, when you sanded the car down. Next up here, you see me using the degreasing cloths with a bit of wax and grease remover, or Prepsol, whatever you want to call it. Also take note that I'm wiping down the airline itself, wipe on, wipe off, and yeah, it's just going to help get any dust, anything that you can think of to eliminate dust in your paint job, like, you know, having bits of dust fall off that airline, fall off you, off your spray gun. Yeah, just any idea is a good idea. Like, you probably noticed how I took all my 3 guns into the booth. I will then not leave the booth prior to starting painting until the job's finished. So just using the blue tack cloth on this job. Blue tack cloths are more of a base coat tack rag, but they work for a pre-tack as well. They're just a low tack. The yellow tack cloths you see me using sometimes, they're a high tack, so they sometimes last a bit longer, the yellow ones. But at $1.50 each, it's barely worth trying to be a cheap Charlie over a tack cloth, because the amount of polishing that you'll create yourself, possibly by not using a good clean tack rag, is probably would be more expensive than you could have just grabbed a new tack rag. Because even those microfine sandpapers that you see me use on the mini sander, they're up about the $1.50 each, so they're about as expensive. By the time, if you use 2 of them, then more expensive for the sanding disc than it is for a new tack rag. Which it turned out didn't really get much dust in this one at all. I was pretty happy with it. So you can see there, for my second coat of base coat, it's just about covered already. So yeah, it really makes you see how it's all in the prep work, I guess. Like, you know, I've always been told that, and most apprentices get told that when they start painting, that any clown can paint, anyone can put a good coat of paint on, but it's 99% of our job is all in the prep work. So there's that wet bed you saw me talking about before. I had that in a separate gun, another clear gun as well, so it was a very nice gun that I only use for clear, so don't like to put the wet bed or a clear coat through a tainted gun, so I wouldn't put it through this gun. And you can just see me doing that blend coat now, and it ended up looking pretty nice when it dried down. So yeah, the reason I wouldn't put that blending clear through this base coat gun, you probably guys that watch a lot of my vids, they'll know, oh, this is his base coat gun. They'll recognise that it's a DeVilbiss one with the skull on it, and it looks pretty cool. But if I was to go and put clear coat through this gun, and there was a little bit of base coat that was left in there, say from this blue car, and my next car was gold or something like that, all it takes is one little speck of that metallic or a speck of blue to come out, and it'll sort of ruin your job. So that's why I like to have dedicated clear guns. So next up, onto my clear coat. I let that flash off for a few minutes. I think I was sitting on my phone, you know, waiting for it to dry, and it's better off to do that than to go outside and you'll end up with dust on your job. So just find something to do in between coats, and don't flush it, obviously. So yeah, I like to set this gun at about 25 psi, have the fluid set to about 3 turns out on a job like this, and full fan. And it's about 10 centimeters distance, so 9 or 10 centimeters distance from the gun to the panel, so which is one fist. It's basically, that's what I was taught when I was learning to paint. It's just, you get a fist, clench your fist, and between the first and the last knuckle will be the distance you should approximately have it from the panel, give or take. Just watch the paint go on as well. That's another thing I had to sort of teach myself in a way. You ask questions, but you really just got to get in there and, you know, get a gun in your hand and see how the paint goes on. All guns are different, so you're going to have to treat them differently. So I did give that approximately 5 minutes in between coats, just enough so it's flashed off, and this second coat's got to be sitting on top of that last coat, on top of the first coat, so it's not going to melt in as one coat. So you're actually getting that build, because it's yeah, it's, if I was using the Maserat clear, the really thick 255 clear, I would paint this totally different. It's a HS clear, and you can get this different method. It's called 3070. You just put one wet coat on. Straight after that, you just put another slightly lighter coat, and you'll get the same build as what you'll get, say, with this clear in, yeah, just in that quick 2 coats system. But this needs a proper 1 coat, leave it, next coat. So as you can see there, the fender looks quite nice. Not much dust in it, 1 or 2, which is always to be expected. It's very rare that you don't get a couple of bits in a panel. So this is the car when it's all finished off and washed up. Pretty nice looking car. I'll let you guys admire that for a couple of minutes and hang around to the very end. So I've got a couple of links to a couple of my personal favourite videos. We've got a good gun comparison, which is, it'll show you a comparison between a good DeVilbiss gun, like you just saw me use then, and a real cheapy old gun. So you'll get an idea of what you get when you buy a good quality top of the line gun. And there's also a link to another one, which is SATA versus DeVilbiss versus iWater. So that's been pretty popular. Lots of people like that one. So if you haven't already seen them, I do recommend you check a couple of those vids out. There's also a link to my channel at the end there too. You'll be able to go and scroll through all my videos. I've made some playlists, so I recommend you check them out. I've also got a Facebook page. Head over to my Facebook page, give it a like if you have a Facebook account, and I always post all these videos over to Facebook and some pics as well. Make sure you give it a big thumbs up, comment, and share my videos. So that just about wraps it up. A beautiful looking car, beautiful looking paint job. Thanks again for watching, and this has been another Gunman production. Goodbye.